The Super Mario Bros. This is kind of random and unprompted, but I've had this video rummaging around in my noodle for a while. I just had the idea on how the thumbnail should look and how they should look, and I was like, I want to make that. I'd like to make a video where I play Super Mario Wii, but I can't get an emulator without Nintendo crawling up my ass and laying eggs, or whatever they do to people who don't shell out pennies for their old games whenever they so choose. Not to brag, but I have played Super Mario Wii, Mario Galaxy, and a level of Mario Odyssey on the demo Switch at my local Toys R Us back in the day, 2017. Without further ado... For the brothers, I decided to draw out these rough ideas for what I wanted because all I really had was a mental picture of what I wanted the thumbnail to look like. Before I cut them out, I look up how tall they are. Luigi is only 5'7", while Mario is 5 feet. Princess Peach, however, stands at 5'8", taller than both of the brothers. I could make some weird depraved joke about it, but I won't. I had to cut the body for Mario, but I want to use a height reference, so I bust out my Deadpool again, who is supposedly 6'2", but I've made shorter characters, so I go lower. I take out my Tom Holland Spider-Man, who's supposed to be 5'8", which is what I thought, but some things are saying he's 5'10", which is weird because Andrew Garfield is 5'10". But my Spider-Man both look around the same height, so maybe I'm stupid? All three of these guys actually look pretty similar in height to me. I've also got this Robert Pattinson Batman, who's supposed to be 6'1", but he's visibly taller than Deadpool, even without the ears. I think what we've concluded is that I'm clearly insane and thinking too hard about this and have no idea what I'm doing. So I use this Spider-Man as a reference instead. This is a little graphic. It's a little more abnormal than what I typically do. This is because I'm going for a more cartoonish look for the Mario Brothers rather than human like I try to do. I was debating giving them thumbs, but decided not to. I sew together the camel toe first, then sew both sides of the torso together. Then I stuff it. I sew each of Mario's legs in a U shape, then I stuff them and sew them to the torso. Then I do the same thing with the arms. Then I sew the arms to the shoulders. With the body finished, I can make the head. This one's pretty easy. I firstly sew the triangles together on each side of the head. Then on one side, I put the eyes on. If you don't have buttons, you can just cut out black circles out of felt. Unless you want to make them more game accurate. Then you're on your own. I then sew the sides of the head together. Before closing it, I stuff the head. With the head stuffed, I cut out the facial hair. I sew the eyebrows on. Then I sew on the mustache. I use a more dense, tougher black felt with glitter on one side of it. I don't know what the glitter's intention is or why they added it, but I just tend to ignore it when I use it. Finally, for the nose. It's just a circle with triangles. I sew the triangles together, like on the head, then run a piece of thread around the rim of it, so I can close it a bit more. But before fully closing it, I stuff it. Then I pull it tight, and I sew it to the face. All I need now is the hair. I get this nice brown felt. I sew the two front pieces together, and then the triangle on the back. Then I put them on the head and sew them down. That's it for the head. All I need to do is attach it to the body. I opt for the ladder stitch because it's just an easier way to get the head on the torso, because the body and the head are just weird. Now, with Mario's body done, I was going to get straight into making the clothes when I thought, you know what would be funny? If I make the underwear. He's got an underwear outfit in Mario Odyssey, and I thought, I should make that as a little joke, and then only the viewers will see it and know that it's there the whole time. It's like our little inside joke. Mario's underwear is painfully simple, only being these two red cutouts. I sew each pant leg, then I sew them together at the crotch. Then I flip them inside out and slide them on. Now, all I need is to paint the white dots all over it. When it comes to the clothes, with the exception of some of the power-ups, Mario's outfit doesn't tend to change in what it is, but it does change color, like the Super Mario Bros. 2 inverse, or the ice suit, which is practically the same as the Super Mario Bros. 2 outfit. You could also make the Fire Flower outfit with white fabric. Just do whatever you want, it's your Mario. I grab my same red material for my shirt. When it comes to the shirt, there's a few customization options for whatever your preference is or whatever your Mario is wearing. With the collar alone, you can make it a V-neck, you can make it the way I'm doing it, you can do a button-up, it can be whatever you want. I know in the movie they both have button-ups, but I like to keep mine simple. Then for the sleeves. You can make them long sleeve, short sleeves, like in Mario Sunshine, or even just long sleeves but they're rolled up. With the shirt finished, I cut out the gloves. These are simple white gloves. I cut them high enough to reach my Mario's elbow, because I'm gonna fold them. This will help the gloves stay on the hands. I sew starting at the top of the arm and then sew halfway down the forearm. Then I flip the glove inside out and sew the rest of it. I roll the sleeve up, then put the glove on. Once the glove is on, I fold it down and sew it where the seam is so it stays folded. I was thinking about making the overalls out of denim, but decided not to because it's just not the right color and also is super annoying to work with. For the overalls, I just sew the pant legs, then attach them at the crotch. Then I flip them inside out and put them on Mario. I then cut out these two pieces, which make up the rest of the overalls. I sew them together first, then slide them up the legs and attach them at the pants. Once fully sewn on, I flip them up. Then I cut out the straps and sew them on. These three details can be added in pretty much any order and it won't change anything. I cut out this pouch I'm going to put on his belly. He doesn't traditionally have this, but I'm adding it as more of a preference thing. With the pouch sewn on, I cut out the crotch zipper and sew that on too. This part is optional. I just want extra detail. I guess in the spirit of that, I could also add back pockets, but I won't. I cut out these buttons out of yellow felt, then sew them on. I use this opportunity to also connect the straps to the front of the overalls. With the overalls done, I make the shoes. These are extremely easy, only being two pieces. I cut out the sole and the actual shoe part. I fold the shoe and then sew it in the back. Then attach it to the sole. I tried to make this cutout a little longer so it would be more likely to stay on Mario's foot, but I think it's kind of eh. With the shoes finished, it is time for my final, and in my opinion, the most important part, the make or break. The hat. I start with this piece, which will wrap around the head. Then I cut out the M and the white circle behind it. I carefully sew the M to the white circle, then I sew that to the hat. With that attached, I sew it together so it all connects at the back. Then I cut the pieces out of the top of the hat. I sew the triangles on the top together, then sew the two pieces into one. Now I just sew the top of the hat to the rest of the rim. With the hat nearly finished, I just add the brim. Now to put it on. That's it. That's Mario. I decided as a finishing touch to grab my paints and a pin. I go for some black rims around the bottom of his shoes, and then add little white lines on his gloves. Now he's finished. That's it for Mario. He's alright. I think the hat turned out better than I expected, but I wish I had done better on the body. I think I just want him to be more ball-shaped. Overall, I like him.
Here we go.
For Luigi's body, I opted not to go for the camel toe cut on the bottom of the torso. I know traditionally he tends to have a stomach like Mario's, but I wanted to give him more visual distinctions. While minor, I think it's fine. Besides his body and the L on Luigi's hat, there's really no visual distinctions between him and Mario in their designs. They're almost exactly the same, which makes describing the creation process for him almost entirely pointless. But I guess that means I can skip over more details and generalize a bunch of stuff I'd otherwise go into more detail on. I think Luigi's body is fine. I obviously went for a more simplified version of him. I mostly do muscular characters, so it's nice to see someone who's like not, peak physical human, and he's just more like a dude. First time in a while I've made a character without pecs. They're not hard to make, but it's just nice not to have to do them as much. Right now I kind of wish I made his neck a little bigger, but in retrospect, after writing the script, I think it works a lot better being skinny. Especially since Mario doesn't even have a neck. Little side tangent here, but I was watching the Super Mario Odyssey video where the whole challenge is to play the game without using any captures. Captures, for the uninitiated, is when Mario throws his hat on something and possesses it. I saw an ad for the game where he possesses someone's dog, and the owners were all like, "Aww," like it's cute. Like what? A middle-aged Italian man just used a magic hat to possess your dog. That's not cute, that's terrifying. Anyway, He was talking about strategies that were used to avoid one of the main mechanics of the game, which I usually like listening to because they're cool to hear and it's like, wow, that's really smart, and it's wild that people would even find that out. But there was one strategy he mentioned where it was like 2-player mode, where you're given the option to play as the Hat. Cappy, I think his name was. But it's this glitch where you can essentially teleport with Cappy and or use him to like boost yourself to different locations through checkpoints. Which is all fine and cool, but like the problem is most Nintendo games don't allow an online multiplayer mode, which is kind of crazy. You usually have to be in the same room as a person you're playing with, so it's like, oh, how do you do that? You'd have to have 2 speedrunners who are on like a similar level of skill in the same place, which isn't very common. Now, despite being an insane idea in my opinion, I thought like, oh, why not just fly out another runner so he can come play with you and do this run? Which is insane to fly someone to what's probably another country to speedrun a video game. So what'd they do? They trained themselves to play with their feet. They put their grubby little toes on the controller and learned how to play like that. Like, what? Who does that? The guy in the video himself said he spent 6 months learning. What? Like, despite how insane that is, I gotta commend the sheer dedication to these speedrunners. These speedrunners have such an immense dedication to their craft. Like, dear God, I couldn't imagine being able to dedicate myself to a game so thoroughly that I just do nothing but run and practice it for years constantly. Speedrunners are truly just like a different breed. A newer evolution of human. Now, I know some of you are probably thinking, why didn't I give Luigi underwear? Well, here's a little unofficial official Luigi lore that Nintendo doesn't want you to know about. Luigi purposely doesn't wear any underwear because he wants to flex his absolutely gargantuan seismic super wiener. The underwear would just simply hide too much of the size and girth for Luigi to even justify wearing it. Plus, he wouldn't want to make it hard on game theory to dedicate an entire video to figuring out the exact width and diameter of his party sausage. Unfortunately, Luigi isn't able to flaunt his golden gift granted by the gods themselves because, funny enough, the Mushroom Kingdom has the same type of public indecency laws as New York City. You know, when I was a kid, I played a lot of Mario Wii, but I always had to play by myself because I didn't have any siblings who were able to play the game with me. So I'd always play alone, which meant I was Mario. But green was my favorite color, so I wanted to play as Luigi. But then whenever I could finally convince one of my parents to play with me, I always wanted to play Mario because he was the main character and I was 8, so I just had to be the center of attention. Now for the hat. This, once again, is one of the most important aspects of my Luigi. I am using a thicker felt, but it should be fine. I'm making the hat nearly the exact same way, with the only real difference being the circle, as opposed to whatever I did on Mario's hat. I also decided to put a triangle on the back of his hat, which is something I didn't do on Mario. I was hoping it would give the hat some more dimension, but all it really does is put a weird spike on the back of his head. With the hat pretty much finished, I put it on the body. All that's left is to paint the final few details on. I'm glad to say that the L I painted on turned out kinda well. With Luigi finished, I can finally confidently say, he's fine. I think I messed up on the hat a little. It's not the worst thing in the world, but Mario's hat is definitely a lot better. I'm more proud of that one. I think it's due to the material I used, to be fair. That's all for the Super Mario Brothers. I'd like to say that overall, they're good. They were super easy to make for sure. Something really nice in making this video is it really allowed me to yap a little more than I usually would due to the simplistic nature of the Mario Brothers designs. I think this was the fastest I've ever made one of these videos. It only took me like 8 days to put the entire thing together, while also making 2 other videos. If you got any other characters from the games that you want me to make, tell me in the comments because I'm really open to making more Mario stuff in the future. Caleb, I know you're thinking Shy Guy, I just know it. Of course, if you decide to make this yourself, I'd recommend you use this video as more of a rough guide than an absolute. I more than encourage you to make these your own if you so choose. You can add any changes or ideal looks that you may have for the characters. Remember, it's your plushie, and at the end of the day, you can do whatever you want with it. I also have an Instagram that will be linked in the description below. If you make any of these and have Instagram, I'd be so happy to see what you made. So go ahead and send me a photo, and I'll most likely see it. As always, have a good day. Goodbye.